From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. visited Tiwi, Albay, one of the hard-hit towns in the province, to check on the condition of residents displaced by Super Typhoon Uwan. The president personally went to the Kakarayan Naga Elementary School and held a situation briefing with cabinet secretaries and local officials led by Albay Governor Noel Rosal after inspecting damaged classrooms. According to the Albay Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, many homes in the town had been damaged, livelihoods disrupted, and essential services affected. President Marcos ordered to fast-track relief efforts and ensure that help reaches the most vulnerable residents without delay. He also wanted to ensure that the price freeze is being implemented in all provinces in the Bicol region as the country is under a state of national calamity.
That is the situation as of now. At the same time, because we are in the state of national calamity, there is a price freeze on all goods. So please make sure that that is being implemented. Yung ating mga LGU, inspeksyonin nyo ng konti, yung mga palengke, make sure that tumutupad sila doon sa price freeze. So we unfortunately have to deal with another area where the effects of Uwan were heavily felt because Uwan was very wide. Tinitignan lang natin yung eye of the storm. Pero itong Uwan, ang napakalapad, 700 to 800 kilometers yung lapad niya. So ang dami talagang tinamaan. But again, the government is here. We are here to help the LGUs. We are here to help all of the people. And like I always promise to the areas that have been hit by these calamities is that the national government is here for as long as you need us. Habang kailangan nyo kami rito.
Meanwhile, the Office of the President distributed 343 school bags and 2 units of Starlink through the Department of Information and Communications Technology or DICT, intended for Kararay Naga Elementary School and Tiwi Central School. The OP also provided snacks for the learners and the beneficiaries of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Geraldine Pongan, principal of Kararayan Naga Elementary School, thanked the president for the time and effort to visit their school. One damaged 15 classrooms, of which 7 sustained major damage and 8 with minor damage, amounting to almost 4 million pesos. She said about 869 students and 35 teaching and non-teaching staff members had been affected. Ponga said the school holds a shifting of class schedules and merging of grade levels to ensure the continued learning of students. Meanwhile, Rosal said the president's visit was an opportunity for Albayanons to air their needs. Rosal said the agriculture industry is one of his top priorities in rehabilitation and recovery.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is focused on addressing the nation's issues and slammed the noise of resignation calls being hurled against him. Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro pointed out that there are propagandists and destabilizers attempting to divert attention from the flood control issue by linking it to personalities involved in the corruption scandal. The official posited that those involved in the anomaly are the ones bound to benefit should the president step down. Some groups, including supporters of the Duterte family, had called for the ouster of the chief executive during a rally held at Diliwasang Bonifacio Sunday. In a comment, Castro said resignation is not an option for the Marcos administration. Ahead of a series of demonstrations in different parts of Metro Manila over the weekend, former Representative Zaldico accused President Marcos of receiving kickbacks in insertions for public works budget. Malacañang denied this as baseless and repeated calls for his return to prove the allegation under oath.
So kailangan pa po bang i-memorize ito? Lahat naman yata ng supporter ng Vice Presidente ang nais ay paalisin sa pwesto ang Pangulo. Bakit? Para pumalit ang Vice Presidente? So, option ba ito? The President is still working and keeps on working for the country. So, hindi po option sa administrasyon, sa Pangulo ang pagbibitiw. Ang Pangulo ay matapang, nahaharapin kung ano man ang suliranin ng bansa. At sila mga nag-iingay, sila ay ingay lamang. Hindi po natin nakikita nagbubumerang ito, pero ito ang nais ipakita ng mga propagandista, mga destabilizers para mailihis ang issue tungkol sa talagang nasasabing sangkot dito. Mga sangkot na nanais na makaligtas at makalusot. Dahil kapag nawala ang Pangulo sa kanyang pwesto, malamang muli magiging maligaya ang mga nasasabing sangkot dahil ang susunod na liderato, ipagpapatuloy kaya itong paninindigan ng Pangulo na sawatain at pugsain ang korupsyon.
Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said the probe into the flood control mess kick-started by Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has achieved good results in just a span of 3 months. In a radio interview, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro pointed out that the cases filed and the sacking of involved officials tagged in the flood control issue alone are commendable feats. Castro said President Marcos's efforts led to the filing of charges against more than a dozen officials and contractors in the flood control scandal. The Independent Commission for Infrastructure, she added, is also eyeing to file cases against 3 senators and others linked to the issue. Since the President's last State of the Nation address or SONA, Malacañang initiated a nationwide audit and investigation and opened the Sumbong sa Pangulo website to receive public reports. On September 11, President Marcos created the ICI to look into corruption allegations hounding government-led flood control projects.
Dateline Malacañang.
Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is clean and would not dignify provocations by what she called destabilizers and obstructionists. Castro was responding to the questions about whether the president is willing to undergo a hair follicle test following accusations made by his sister, Senator Amy Marcos, that he is using illegal drugs.
Ulitin natin, uulit-ulitin natin, hindi po tayo magpapadala kung ano ang sinasabi ng mga maiingay. Matagal na po itong naresolba. Uulit-ulitin ko, paulit-ulit. Ang Pangulo po ay malinis at ang Pangulo po ay hindi magpapadala sa anumang pag-uudyok. Pag-uudyok ng mga destabilizers, pag-uudyok ng mga obstructionists na walang gagawin kundi magbigay ng mga kondisyon, magbigay ng pag-uutos sa Pangulo kahit hindi na po ito naaayon sa kanyang pagtatrabaho.
Defending the first family, Castro said the presidential sister's remarks against President Marcos were baseless and were mere noise meant to destroy the chief executive's image.
Sa tingin po natin, naka-trigger ng public outrage, hindi sa Pangulo, kung hindi bumabalik ito sa kasinungalingan nila Saldico at sa ni Senator Amy Marcos. Marami na po mga eksperto, marami na rin po na mga liderato na nagpapatunay na ang sinabi ni Saldico ay kaduda-duda. Hindi magmumula sa amin, kundi yung iba mga mambabatas na nagsasabing hindi ka panipiniwala ang sinabi ni Saldico. Kaya mas mabuting umuwi siya dito para patunayan niya ang kanyang mga bintang. Bintang na sa ngayon ay walang basihan. Patungkol kay Senator Amy, kitang-kita naman po natin kung sino ba yung kanyang pinoproteksyonan. Kitang-kita nyo na ang Pangulo ang gusto niyang sirain, pero ang pinoproteksyonan niya ay yung may issue tungkol sa korupsyon na si Vice Presidente. Hindi man lang niya iningayan ang patungkol sa issue ng confidential funds. Hindi rin niya iningayan ang pagpapadala sa dating Pangulong Duterte sa ICC. Ang ininga niya dito ay pabor pa mismo sa taong umaming siya ay murderer. Hindi man lang yata niya inisip ang kalagayan ng mga taong di umanong biktima ng EJK. So kita niyo naman kung saan siya patungo, kaya wala siyang gagawin kundi isang desperadong aksyon. Sirain ang Pangulo para proteksyonan ang kanyang mga kaalyado.
In an earlier radio interview, Castro said the lawmakers' remarks have legal implications as these can be tagged as libelous. Castro meanwhile noted that the first family has no plans as of yet to file a case against the presidential sister.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine economy remains strong and ready to welcome new investors, Malacañang said amid the Marcos administration's sustained fight against corruption. In a briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the government has a comprehensive catch-up plan to achieve its economic targets while stepping up efforts to hold accountable personalities involved in the corruption scandal and flood control anomalies. The government, she added, is ensuring that the country's fiscal condition is in the right direction while gradually reducing deficit and debt.
Ekonomiya ng bansa nananatiling matatag at bukas para sa mamumuhunan. Sa ilalim ng pamumuno ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., nananatiling matatag ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas na may matibay na pundasyon at bukas sa pagkakataon para sa mga mamumuhunan. Ito ay sa kabila ng mga hakbang ng administrasyon na wakasan ang malawakang korupsyon sa bansa habang pumapanig sa tapat na pamamahala at pagtugon sa mga hinaing ng taong bayan. Sa ulat ng Department of Finance sa pangunguna ni dating Finance Secretary at ngayon Executive Secretary Ralph Recto, hindi matitinag si Pangulong Marcos Jr. sa pag-usik sa sinumang nasa likod ng mga tiwaling gawain. Kamag-anak man, kaalyado, o kahit na ang sariling kadugo. Sa hiling ng taong bayan para sa reforma sa pamahalaan, naninindigan ang pamahalaan na ang lahat ng ito ay tinutugunan sa pamamagitan ng konkreto at mabilis na aksyon, alinsunod sa kautusan ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. Sa ngayon, mayroon nang nakalatag na mga komprehensibong catch-up plan ang pamahalaang Marcos Jr. ayon sa national priorities at mapabilis ang paglago ng ekonomiya. Higit sa lahat, tinitiyak din ng pamahalaan sa taong bayan na nasa tamang landas ang fiscal condition nito at positibo ang mga inaasahan sa mga darating na buwan. Unti-unti ring ibababa ng pamahalaan ang deficit at utang habang lumilikha ng mas maraming trabaho. Tumataas ang kita ng mga Pilipino at mas marami pang aangat ang buhay. Sa ilalim ng administrasyon ni Pangulong Marcos Jr., sinisiguro na ito ay isang gobyernong nakikinig, mabilis kumilos at inuuna ang interes ng bayan at ng taong bayan. Ito rin ay isang gobyernong tumutupad sa pangako, walang takot, walang pinapaboran, at walang pag-aatubiling pinapanagot ang sinuman.
Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang asserted that the government will meet the target date for the passage of the 2026 national budget despite the changes in the administration's economic managers. In a press briefing, Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the designation of new heads for the Department of Finance or DOF and the Department of Budget and Management or DBM would not disrupt the budget process. The Palace announced the other day that Finance Secretary Ralph Recto would replace Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, while Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs Frederick Go would assume Recto's post. At the same time, the Palace said DBM Undersecretary Rolando Toledo would replace Secretary Amena Pangandaman in an officer-in-charge capacity.
Well, maybe it may be an issue. But we were able to talk to Secretary Go, and according to him, any reassignments of the cabinet members to DOF and DBM, they are all the same people who work on the budget, who work on the finance. So there will be no problem with that.
The House of Representatives approved the 6.793 trillion peso spending plan last October 13, while the Senate is conducting last-stage plenary debates for the proposed 2026 national budget. The Senate and the House of Representatives would reconcile their respective budget versions through the bicameral conference committee and submit the final version to Malacañang for approval. Malacañang on Monday announced that President Marcos has accepted the resignations of Bersamin and Pangandaman, who left voluntarily to give way to the ongoing investigation into anomalous flood control projects. The palace also said President Marcos has accepted the resignation of Presidential Legislative Liaison Office or PLLO head Undersecretary Adrian Bersamin. In accepting the resignation, President Marcos extended his gratitude to Bersamin and Pangandaman for their exemplary leadership and invaluable contributions to their respective offices.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. strengthened his administration's commitment to the agriculture sector with the launch of the Buwan ng Butil Serbisyo Caravan, an initiative designed to bring essential agricultural services directly to the public. In a palace press briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro announced that the caravan launch in various cities across Metro Manila aims to deepen public awareness and appreciation of the agriculture sector. The caravan features key initiatives including the Kadiwa program, which offers affordable rice at 20 pesos per kilo, the distribution of free seedlings, fingerlings, and coconut seedlings, as well as training on organic agriculture. The program also promotes food security and sustainable farming practices. The caravan is located in several areas in the metro, such as the BPI compound in Malate, the FTI Administration Building in Taguig, and the NFA Building in Visayas Avenue in Quezon City. Meanwhile, Castro announced that the Benteng Bigas Meron Na program has already been rolled out in Catanduanes, one of the provinces heavily affected by Super Typhoon Uwan. The program prioritizes vulnerable sectors including Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or 4Ps members, persons with disabilities, solo parents, and senior citizens. Castro urged all eligible beneficiaries to visit the Kadiwa ng Pangulo outlet located in the Capitol grounds in Virac, Catanduanes to avail of the service.
Upang patatagin at palawigin pa ang industriya ng agrikultura sa bansa, inilunsad ng Department of Agriculture ang Buwan ng Butil, Serbisyo Caravan sa Quezon City, Taguig at Manila. Ito'y alinsunod sa direktiba ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. na palalimin pa ang kaalaman ng mga Pilipino sa industriya ng agrikultura. Sa ilalim ng programa, inilalapit mismo ng DA sa mga mamamayan ang mga serbisyo nito upang ipamalas ang suporta ng pamahalaan sa ating mga magsasaka, mangingisda at mamimili. Tampok sa caravan ang Kadiwa program kung saan makakabili ng mura at dekalidad na 20 pesos kada kilo ng bigas. Pamimigay ng mga libreng punla, fingerlings and coconut seedlings distribution, at mga training patungkol sa organic agriculture. Bukod dito, isinusulong din ang food security at sustainable farming sa nasabing programa. Ngayon, ang huling araw ng serbisyo caravan ng DA at matatagpuan ito sa 3 magkakaibang lokasyon. Sa BPI compound sa Malate, FTI Administration Building sa Taguig, at sa NFA Building sa Visayas Avenue, Quezon City. Sa kabilang dako naman, lumapag na sa Catanduanes ang programang Benting Bigas Meron Na. Ito'y bahagi ng advokasya ng Administrasyong Marcos Jr. upang gawing abot kamay ang pagkain para sa mga kabilang sa vulnerable sectors. Kasama sa priority beneficiaries ng programa ang mga miyembro ng 4Ps, mga PWD, solo parents at senior citizens. Inaanyayahan ang lahat ng eligible beneficiaries na magtungo sa Kadiwa ng Pangulo Outlet na matatagpuan sa Capitol Grounds sa Virac, Catanduanes.
Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.